So we're talking today about the presidency. This is the executive branch. So we know the three branches of government are the legislative, which is Congress, the judicial, which is the Supreme Court and the court system, and then the executive branch. Now we often think about this as mostly the president, but the president's really the head of a branch that is very large. The executive branch includes lots of different sub-branches, lots of different departments that the president is technically in charge of, kind of like the CEO of a company. And that's what we're going to explore today. So the requirements to be president, according to the Constitution, are that you have to be a natural-born citizen, you have to be 35 years of age or older, and a resident of the United States for the previous 14 years. You have to have lived here for at least 14 years. In addition, these aren't in the Constitution, but these have been true of all presidents. Well, except for one, they've all been white, they've all been male, and they've all been Christian in some format. Now, whether or not they're Catholic or Protestant has been a bigger deal in the past, but they've all been of Christian denominations. So how do you become president? There's really two ways. You can be elected, which is the most common way, or through succession, which is where you're the vice president and the president dies or is impeached, or in one case, quit, resigned, and then you become president. Now, this wasn't clarified in the Constitution explicitly at first. It wasn't until 1967 that they made the 25th Amendment that clarified for sure if the president dies or leaves office, the vice president becomes president and serves out the term. It was kind of implied in the Constitution, but it didn't say so explicitly. So if you have a goal as the president, right, you have these things that you've said you're going to do as president when you were campaigning. How do you go about doing them? What are the president's powers according to the Constitution? Well, they can make treaties, command the military. They're officially the commander-in-chief of the military. They can appoint ambassadors, although those appointments have to be approved by Congress, as do, I should have said, the treaties as well. They can appoint judges who also have to be approved by Congress. They can veto those laws from Congress. Remember, that process of a bill becoming a law included the final step, the president either signing it into law or vetoing it. But remember, the president can't initiate those laws. They have to come from Congress. And that's it. So when the president wants to do something, he really just have to ask Congress to do it and then approve it. So according to the Constitution, the president doesn't have too many powers, right? They have all of these, but except for commanding the military, all of them have to go through Congress anyway. So why do we think of the president as the most powerful person in the world? How can they go about making laws on their own? It's pretty complicated. The most power the president has comes from their various responsibilities. So remember that they're head of the executive department. So they head all of those departments: the Commerce Department, Treasury, the State Department, the Department of the Interior, the Department of Energy, the Department of Health and Human Services. All those things the president is directly in charge of. And so through logistics, they are able to bring about small policy changes. They're also the chief diplomat, so the president represents the country abroad and negotiates those international agreements and treaties with other countries. Now, they have to be approved by Congress, but the president is the one negotiating them. They are also generally the leader of their party. This isn't a formal power, but as we saw, particularly with President Trump, they can often be, because they're the most visible figure in their party, the one that kind of leads the direction of policy. So if they say they want something, in general, that's the most vocal, and they can appeal directly to supporters, as we saw Trump do, and kind of drive the party's agenda. Now, here is a list of all of those executive departments. So we often hear about the president's cabinet. The cabinet is made up of the head of each of those departments, who the president gets to appoint. Now, each of those heads has to be approved by Congress, but the president gets to ultimately decide them. So although most of the employees of each of those departments don't change with each presidential administration, the head of it does. So the direction and kind of the agenda of what the department's trying to do in general can change pretty drastically. For example,